Hello class. Today we're going to talk about various components of cartilage and bone. We will talk about the organization of cartilage and bone, the mechanisms of growth. So then we will talk about the mineral and organic constituents of cartilage and bone, and then we'll characterize the cells of both cartilage and bone. Cartilage and bones are from the same basic mesenchymal cells from which all connective tissue is made. Stem cells in bone marrow generate osteoclasts, which is the bone-eating cells in bone, and they generate other cells that are undifferentiated mesenchymal cells that produce a lot of connective tissue cells. Among these cells produced by the undifferentiated mesenchymal cells are the chondroblasts and chondrocytes, as well as osteoblasts and osteocytes. So we're going to talk about cartilage and bone today, but we'll start with cartilage. Now, what is the function of cartilage? In the embryo, cartilage functions as a model for bones. Before we have bones in our skeleton, in the early embryo, we have cartilage. In fact, there are some species, like the shark, that has no bones. Their skeleton support is all cartilage. So in the embryo, early embryo, our skeletal support is composed of cartilage before it is remodeled and replaced as bone that we find in newborns and the adult. Another function of cartilage is to provide support of bones in joints. The slick surface of cartilage allows it to slide across one another while bearing weight. If you look at the joints where two bones are touching one another, cartilage covers the bone to prevent one bone from contact with the other bone in the joint. This is the articular surface where the two bones touch, separated only by the cartilage. While bearing weight, cartilage has limited compression and expands somewhat to cushion the joint. Also, cartilage has no nerves, and hence there's no pain with the normal compression of cartilage. The pain in knees come from contact of bones, not the cartilage itself, because cartilage have no nerves. Cartilage has a general connective tissue capsule around it. We call that capsule a perichondrium, peri being near, chondrium being cartilage. Like all capsules of the body, the perichondrium is composed of dense, irregular connective tissue. Hence, supporting connective tissue of cartilage is surrounded by general connective tissue. The perichondrium is a source of cells for the production of cartilage. Also, perichondrium is a source of nutrients of cartilage. Indeed, cartilage is the only type of connective tissue that is avascular. It does not have blood vessels, and as a consequence gets nutrients from the surrounding perichondrium. Cartilage is organized with cells surrounding by the extracellular matrix. The matrix is composed of type 2 collagen and other proteins. There are various types of collagen, and the main type is type 1 that is found in most connective tissue structures, including bone. Cartilage has type 2 collagen, which forms more fine fibers than type 1 collagen. The type 2 collagen fibers are attached to one another by glycosaminoglycans and sulfonated proteins as the proteaceous glue of the matrix. Chondroblasts differentiate from undifferentiated cells in the perichondrium, and they begin to produce cartilage matrix around them. As a result of cells get stuck in their own extracellular matrix. The space occupied by the cell is called the lacunae. A chondroblast stuck in its lacunae is now called a chondrocyte. Chondroblasts produce extracellular matrix, which is a high content in sugar and sulfur. Both sugar and sulfur are added at the Golgi apparatus as proteins are developed inside the cell. The chondroblasts and chondrocytes produce glycosaminoglycans, which are sulfonated. This makes cartilage look glassy. If you ever looked at the end of a chicken bone, you can see the glassy appearance at the end, and that is the cartilage at the end of the bone in that joint. Cartilage has two types of growth. Interstitial growth, shown here, where the cells divide within cartilage itself, and they produce isogenic groups, as many as 8 cells derived from one. So it's from within. The second type of growth is appositional growth. It occurs on surfaces whereby cells differentiate from mesenchymal cells in the perichondrium to produce chondroblasts. In summary, cartilage has 3 different types. You have hyaline cartilage, you have elastic cartilage, and fibrocartilage, which I did not mention about the fibrocartilage. Hyaline cartilage is in our trachea, hold open the windpipe. Elastic cartilage is like in our ears, that will allow stretching and going back to a normal shape. And fibrocartilage is what we find at the attachment of ligament and tendons to bones. Remember that cartilage comes from mesenchymal cells, which originate in the bone marrow, and they differentiate into chondroblasts that make chondrocytes when they become trapped in their extracellular matrix. Also, the bone marrow mesenchymal cells produce osteoclasts, osteocytes, and osteoblasts of bones, and that brings us to bone. Bone allows animals to walk on land and to stand upright. It gives support to land animals whose weight is not supported by water. If we lived in the sea, we would not need this support, as of evidence of whales. They do not need legs to walk. They do need flippers to move around. Another function of bone that whales do need is that they need bones of the skull, which protects the brain. The bones of the ribs protect lungs and vital organs. Also, long bones of our arms and legs, house hemopoietic tissue, that is, cells of the bone marrow which make red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Bone is constantly remodeling itself to adjust to the workload by producing more bone or digesting bone. So it builds up or breaks bone continuously. In fact, both laying down and digestion of bones occurs at the same time. This is not a problem unless it digests too little or too much in relation to the amount of bone being laid down. Because bones adjust to the stress of the workload, the bones of a weightlifter are thicker than those of a typical basketball player. If you live outer space, your bones would be lighter because they would have less stress on them with less gravity of outer space. This adjustment is due to remodeling. The breakdown and buildup of bone is remodeling. There are a couple of hormones that affect the remodeling of bone. One is parathyroid hormone, which causes reabsorption or digestion of bone. Another hormone is calcitonin. It prevents the reabsorption of bone. Now, there are different cells of bones which are affected by these hormones: osteoblasts, osteocytes, and osteoclasts. The most primitive cell and the youngest cell that produce osteoid, which is extracellular matrix of bone. Osteoid is the bone matrix material that traps the osteoblast into its lacunae or local space. Trapped osteoblasts are now called osteocytes. Osteoblasts come from the dense connective tissue around the bone, its periosteum. Bone can only grow from differentiation of mesenchymal cells in the attached connective tissue by appositional growth. Hence, bone grows from its sides and not from within itself. Cartilage can grow from both its sides, and from within itself. The bone matrix cannot stretch or expand by cell division as it can in cartilage. So therefore, cell division cannot stretch the bone, and so you can't have interstitial growth in bone. The third type of cell is the osteoclast. The osteoclast breaks down bone, and it will break down cartilage as well. As I mentioned to you before, cartilage is a model for which bones are made in the body. In the embryo, we have only cartilage. Osteoclasts move in and break down the cartilage. They eat up the cartilage so that can be replaced by bone. Osteoclasts can eat bone because its characteristics. It has a ruffled border and the products that it produces. Osteoclast creates a microenvironment which has a very low pH, and it has lysosomal enzymes there that break down calcium phosphate, which is the hard part of bone. The low pH and enzyme-containing microenvironment allows osteoclasts to break down the extracellular matrix of bone composed of type 1 collagen, calcium phosphate, and other proteinaceous components of osteoid. By doing so, it increases the calcium blood levels. Hormones that regulate bone reabsorption have different actions on the cells. Parathyroid hormone stimulates the production of osteoclasts to make more bone-eating cells, which increase the free calcium in blood. Calcitonin removes the osteoclast's rough border. Its ruffled border is removed, and hence its microenvironment, so it cannot digest the bone when calcitonin is involved. This slide shows the remodeling of compact bone, that is the solid outer part of bone that surrounds the bone marrow region. Osteoclasts have digested the path or channel in compact bone. The channel is closed by the action of osteoblasts, producing osteoid and osteocytes. This remodeling process of breaking down and producing new bone provides a mechanism by which hormones can regulate free calcium levels important in many physiologic functions of the bone, like regulation of muscle contraction. In summary, of the three basic types of bones, there's osteoblasts like chondroblasts, osteocytes like chondrocytes, and then there's osteoclasts that congest both cartilage and bone. Osteoid, or extracellular matrix of bone, has a mixture of type 1 collagen and complex mixture to increase the affinity for and serve as nucleation sites for precipitation of calcium phosphate. The calcium phosphate provides the hardness characteristic of bone. This calcification of osteoid, which is laid down in a polarized fashion, adds firmness to bone, but it prevents diffusion of materials, including nutrients. To counter the non-diffusible matrix, bone has cell-to-cell contacts to give the nutrients from the perichondrium deep within the bone. Osteocytes are living inside the matrix of bone in individual lacunae. In order to get nutrients when they are surrounded by osteoid, they keep connections between adjacent cells by canaliculi. These are open channels between adjacent cells. Touching cells within the canaliculi form gap junctions. These are membrane channels of attaching cell cytoplasms that provide exchange of nutrients between the different cells. Given that bone constantly remodels, it can repair if it breaks. Bone repair is an example of bone development whereby mesenchymal cells differentiate into cartilage first. The cartilage then calcifies. Osteoclasts eat up the calcified cartilage, and osteoblast lays down new bone to repair the broken bone. The break also provides the events of bone formation listed here. We see a clot is formed by the migration of mesenchymal cells and their proliferation to increase their number. The cells differentiate, producing cartilage, which is calcified and destroyed by osteoclasts. And finally, we have colonization of the bone marrow to return to the broken bone. The bone development and repair involves several cellular tissue processes. Chemotaxis draws cells to the site. Mitosis is the means by which cells proliferate. Cell differentiation is the means by which you produce extracellular matrix of cartilage and bone. When the cells calcify, there's cell death, and then angiogenesis brings in blood vessels and precursor cells to remodel bone. In summary, cartilage and bone are supporting types of connective tissue, which is one of the three types of connective tissue. One type is connective tissue proper, which is like the dermis of your skin or the white of the eye. Another type of connective tissue is special properties connective tissue, like bone marrow, which produce red blood cells and platelets. But today we talked about supporting connective tissue composed of cartilage and bone. Now that we're in the lectures, which with some places I've traveled. Here we see pictures of the Iceman in the Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C. Also, a famous picture displayed in the museum. On another continent, Ireland has Waterford crystal, which makes a lot of nice glass structures, as you see here. Thank you.